Hi, good morning, grade 10 students. Welcome back to today's class. Yesterday we have learned about will, would, the usage of it, and we have done some exercises. And today's class we can cover 5 topics. What are the 5 topics in the sense? Must, ought to, need, dare, and used, USED. 5 topics. So, if we categorize them, must and ought to, both were used to express necessity, certainty, moral obligation. Understood? Or duty. 4. Necessity, certainty, moral obligation, and duty. When it comes to the next one, what? Need or dare. These two have a small slight difference. What is that? The word need, when we use it as a principal verb means nothing, main verb. When we use a main verb, according to its meaning, need in the sense require or requirement, we can say. Basing on that, we can have some examples. I'll give a detailed one. And when we use as a auxiliary, means the helping verb, it remains unchanged. What remains unchanged? The word need remains unchanged when we use it in as an auxiliary, means as a helping verb. And when we come to this dare, what is the principal verb it is? The principal verb is dare in the sense boldly facing, without fear. General meaning is that one in a dare in the sense. So, as a main verb, dare won't change. Okay, but as a auxiliary verb, means as a helping verb, what it is called, automatically not is used. Means dare not to do this, like that. Okay, and the final one for today's class, used, USED. The word itself says used means related to past. Okay, so this term used will be added with the infinitive to. Okay, used to. Then used to always reflects the past events, isn't it? I used to have a habit of waking at 9 o'clock, let us imagine. So now itself I'm able to go ahead by 5 o'clock. That's it. Isn't it? The past habits reflects here. Okay. Now all these 5, today's topics, all these 5, must, ought to, need, okay, dare, used, these all 5 comes under modal auxiliaries only. Okay. Now let us see the first one. Now here are the rules for usage of must. How to use must? The first point is to express necessity, obligation, or certainty. Means for 3 means necessity, obligation, certainty. So for these 3, I'll be giving examples. First one, necessity. You must study that book. That is necessity. You must obey the officer's orders, obligation. You must obey the officer's orders. Or in our way, you must obey the teacher's words or parents' words. It must be your cycle, certainty. It must be your cycle. Means it is certainty. So necessity, obligation, certainty. For these 3 purposes, we will be using must. And for another usage is to denote a strong determination. What is the next one? To denote strong determination. For example, I must go to Delhi in summer. I must go to Delhi in summer. Whether you will go or not, that is but you have a strong determination to go. Okay. I must have my own way. Not completely always depending upon others or upon their brain or ideas. For that sake, what is the sentence we have to use? I must have my own way. And negatives also, negative obligations or prohibition. Mustn't, must, N apostrophe T, mustn't expresses a negative obligation or prohibition, it seems. Like, observe the example. Cars mustn't be parked here. You mustn't move out of the house. See, the negative is there. Negative obligation or prohibition. Understood? So, must to express necessity, obligation or certainty. 3 examples we have discussed. And for strong determination, isn't it? And even negative obligations. Next is ought to. OUGHTTO, ought to. What is this ought to? This ought to modal auxiliary is used to express duty or moral obligation or necessity. So once again necessity came. Must necessity is different and here ought necessity is different. Basing on the example we can go through and we can understand clearly. What I said, the first one here, to express necessity I said. We ought to buy a radio. We ought to buy a radio means it is our necessity to purchase a radio. Now online classes are going on. Only 1 or 2 phones are there. Or 1 phone is required. But 2 children or 3 children are there. Or 2. But only 1 cell phone we have. Then we ought to buy a cell phone. For what purpose? For listening or following the homeschooling classes, right? Like that. We ought to buy a radio is necessity. We ought to buy a cell phone is necessity. Next one is duty. We ought to obey the orders. We ought to obey the orders given by the higher authorities. We ought to help the needy. It is a prime duty or a minimum consigns what we have to follow. What it is? We ought to help the needy. Who are in need, we have to help. Okay. Moral obligation. And ought to have is used to express a past obligation, it means you ought to have done that. We ought to have helped him, like that. Okay. Now let's learn about another modal verb, that is our modal auxiliary, need. What it is? Need. Here, need as a principal verb, need is used in the sense of require. What is the meaning of need? Requirement. I need it. I have a requirement on it. So require. For that we have to take an example in the sense, I need your help. We need another player. Cricket, 11 members, 10 are there. How can we? So we need one more player. For that purpose we can use as a requirement. And this is, see, just now what I said, need as a principal verb, the sense is require only. If it is as an auxiliary verb, need remains unchanged. Please get a clarity. As a principal verb means main verb, nothing more than that. As a main verb, if you take need, the word need is a main verb, then automatically we will be using in the sense of require. If the word need is not a main verb and it is an auxiliary, means as a helping verb, then it remains unchanged. Main verb means it is changing in the sense of require. If it is auxiliary means no need to, it remains unchanged. Okay. You need not do it. That is the example. See, you need not do it. You can take that example. For example, another one we can another usage is when referring to past time, need is followed by the perfect infinitive. Like you need not have waited for her. She need not have lost her temper. Some other situations, based on the example, she need not have lost her temper, like this, we can say that. Or you need not have waited for her. So, only a limited usage. Need. What is it? As a principal verb, how it works, and as a auxiliary, how it works. Okay. And now come to the another verb, modal verb, that is dare. Generally the meaning itself is we can understand to face boldly, dareness, isn't it? So, as it meanings, as a principal verb, if we take dare, it is used in the sense of what? Facing boldly, dareness, without fear. Just now we have completed need. What we have taken need there? Need in the sense of require. Here, dare as a principal verb or a main verb, what else we call, it is in the sense of to face boldly. Let's go ahead with example. He dared me to swim across the river. He dared me, D-A-R-E-D. He dared me to swim across the river. He dares you to fight. He dares you to fight. Okay. Now, as an auxiliary, means as a helping verb, if you take the word dare, is commonly used with not. Understood now? As a principal verb, as a main verb, it sense of facing boldly or without fear or dareness. When it comes to an auxiliary, this dare is commonly used with not, it seems. She dare not do it. I dare not follow him. Understood? She dare not do it. I dare not follow him. That's the use of dare. And if we come to used, what is the next modal auxiliary? Used. If we take that used, here generally used is the usage of it is to refer a past habit or to describe what once was. Means I use it to sing. What it means at present, at the moment, or by the time of talking, or by the time of when you're reading or listening, the concerned character or the concerned person is not singing. I use it to means in the past. To refer a past habit or to describe what once was. It is followed by the infinitive to. What we have to use? Infinitive to we have to use. Use it to. Right? He used it to spend his holidays with his brother. If you observe the example, he used it to spend his holidays with his brother. What does it mean? Not now. He used to spend his holidays with his brother, but not in the present, in the past. They used to look after their business. They used to look after their business, but now they are not looking because it is the past. Used to always remember that the phrase used to is used only for past events. Okay. For example, to be used is used to mean accustomed. Means used to is one phrase. Next phrase is to be used, you can say. Means like accustomed. He is used to driving long distances. He is used to driving long distances. But now, health issues or health hazards or something happens, he is not going with the long drives. Understood? So, what we have observed, all these models are today's models. Must, we have gone through must. We have gone with ought to, need, dare, used. Okay? Students, with this episode, we completed part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. These 5 parts we have completed models with a full-fledged version. What we covered? Who knows, sir? The videos are not opening with the huge MB. Our phones are disturbing. Not that. Actually, the YouTube links are being opened. Don't get worried. So, what we learned regarding models? Models are of 2 types. What are they? Primary auxiliaries, modal auxiliaries. And these primary auxiliaries are divided into 3 types. What are they? Be forms, have forms, do forms. What comes under be forms here? Is, am, are, was, were. Have forms? Have, has, had. And the next do forms, do, does, did. All these forms comes under primary auxiliaries. Then what about modal auxiliaries, which we have the syllabus here? Modal auxiliaries are as follows. What are they? What we have discussed? Can, could, isn't it? Next, may, might, shall, should, will, would. Next, must, ought to, need, dare, and used. All these comes under modals. Each one have their individual usage. Each usage we have explained, at the same time with exemplary form. And each topics we have gone through the exercise also, right? Isn't it? So this is the concept of modals. Hope you understood, and remaining we can go ahead with different type of exercises also similarly. That's all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.